Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for having this interview with me today. And yeah, I'm super grateful that you are willing to share about your experience with Innerdance. Jason has been coming to several Innerdance sessions for the last few months and has had some incredible experiences. And what's interesting for me is that I've been feeling drawn to bringing this healing modality to a younger age group, and I've also been finding it interesting, like, to be hearing your feedback and how you've experienced it and what you have learned from it. So yeah, I'd like to start off by asking you, like, what drew you to coming to one of these classes? What was it that sounded interesting to you, and what called you?
Hi, yeah, well, thanks for having me, Leigh. Yeah, it was really just my mom actually was the one who told me about it. I don't know how she found out about it. I guess friends through friends. But yeah, she told me about this class, and she told me that it was sort of like a sound journey, and you can lay on the ground in a room in complete darkness and just be sort of immersed in a sound world. So that's quite up my alley. I'm a musician, and I really like the sound of that. I was also going through a really tough time in my life, so yeah, I was keen to do something that seemed a little bit meditative and that would give me a break from everything else. So yeah, that's how I got interested. I would say, yeah.
Hmm. And like, what were some of the effects or the benefits that came up for you when you started to experience some of the classes? I know that you spoke about you were going through quite a tough time. What type of like emotions were happy, were running through you? And I'm just curious, like, how did this support you? Did you notice any shifts in your reality afterwards? What was happening?
Yeah, I think for me, like a big part of the inner dance experience that I really enjoyed was just the feeling of being connected to people, that were also in a shared space. That's not to say that everybody was vulnerable or going through a tough time as well, but just to go through something together where we're all humans, we all go through our different struggles, and we all have our victorious moments and our not so victorious moments. But I think it's cool to be able to connect with people, around the country, I guess around the world as well, where you actually relate on so many levels, and to feel like you're in that space with those people, experiencing that kind of music with those people, that was quite special to me. And in terms of the emotions that I experienced, or yeah, my experiences of the music and the benefits, I think there's a lot to be said for just allowing yourself to lay back and feel rather than to think all the time. But one of the things I remember from the first class was that you said if you want to think, you can think. If you want to feel, you can feel. And so you tend to lay there thinking quite a lot if you've got a very active mind like me. But the thing that's cool about Innerdance is that all the music is so different. It's all part of one playlist. But 1 minute you'll be hearing, quite tribal electronica music, and then the next moment you'll hear a snippet from Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. And what that did for me is it's like this, it's like going into this dream world where, like I said to you, it was like a psychedelic playground for me, because you're just immersed in this world of sound coming from all sorts of different places and evoking all sorts of different emotions and memories. And for someone who loves music of many, many different kinds, to hear all those different genres come together, it just like pulls on emotional strings from so many different places. And I think what's cool about that is it just gives you an opportunity to like lay back and sort of reconnect with yourself and reconnect with what you're feeling, rather than being bogged down all the time by your current problem that you're dealing with in your day-to-day life. So yeah,
Mm. I love what you said.
hope that answers your question.
No, it's so relevant and so you know, it's really the beauty of inner dance is it does wake up this dream time and this dreamlike space, but we do it while we are awake, and that's what is amazing.
Mm.
And what you're also touching on now, like the different sounds, it somehow allows one to have a wider perspective. When you are like, when the music does change from African tribal to, Mozart to, you're kind of, it takes you out of your normal ways of thinking, and it in in essence is there, and it's designed to break patterns, to break habits, to help you to dream again. And, one of the things that I also remember in conversations with you is that you started to feel hope. I remember the word hope coming up, and like there's, it doesn't need to be so difficult, and so I'm just, yeah, like wanting to speak about that as well. There's something about sound and music that tends to heal us, from the inside out. And being a musician, it's wonderful to talk to you about this because, it's like, yeah, when we can weave music in this way, and it brings about this incredible opportunity to let go and to release, but also to dream again. I think there's something super powerful in that. That yeah, like um, um, and I think that you being a musician, I think that you would really appreciate that. Um, I'm also wondering, like, for people your age, how, in your age group, like the early 20s, I think you're 24 now, or 23, 24, but like this kind of age group, uh, that are going through maybe similar types of challenges. We all go through challenges, but of course, this particular age group has particular challenges or particular things that you're moving through. And yeah, I curious how you think that this could, what are some of the things that, you know, um, would help, how could inner dance like support this particular age group for girls and guys? Um, you know, curious like what your thoughts are on this as well.
Yeah, well, I think for me, I'm a big believer that every now and then you need a good shift in perspective, and that can come in many different forms. You know, sometimes it could be healthy forms, sometimes less healthy for certain individuals, for all of us probably. Let's be real, but I think a shift in perspective is incredibly important in checking in with yourself and bringing about something that's very critical, which is awareness of a few things, where you've come from, where you're at, where you're going, where you think you're going. Those are all important, and we think about those things probably every day, but it also brings about an awareness of the present moment, which obviously if you're into a lot of the sort of philosophy behind um, mindfulness and meditation and bringing about inner peace, especially from like the Eastern traditions, that being in the present moment is a hugely powerful thing. And something like inner dance allows you to do that quite effortlessly. So I know a bunch of people my age who have tried meditation, for example, and they struggle to sit and clear their head of all the thoughts that they're having, and they struggle to be comfortable. You can sit in one position and 7 minutes later, your back is sore or you're itchy or irritated by something. And I think what's cool about inner dance is that there's no requirement or pressure to be any sort of way. I mean, you can lay on the floor, you can jump up and move around, you can curl into a ball on a couch. It sort of does the meditating for you in a way, because even when you become overwhelmed with thoughts during an inner dance journey, then the music will change and it will take you somewhere else. So you tend not to get too stuck in one particular way of thinking, in one repetitive sort of cycle. So I think that the awareness overall, like what I'm trying to say is that the awareness that and perspective that the music gives you is hugely beneficial to people going through whatever journey they're going through. But the journey of life, and being a young person, I know in my age group, we're all so concerned about, what we're trying to achieve and whether we are doing a good enough job of that, where we're going, what we want in life, trying to define those things. And I think that there's a huge benefit to just like laying back and allowing a lot of emotions and almost subconscious thoughts to come up that can sort of help be a guide to reassure us what we want. And I think inner dance has helped me do that in those moments where you mentioned hope. And for me, I know that I'm a musician. I know that I love music. I also love having, conversations that are deep, with people. And I love talking about the universe, and I love, sharing meaningful spaces with people. So inner dance gave me an opportunity to do that. And during a time of my life where there was a lot of misery and stress and anxiety around me, it was a good break from that. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. There's something that's happening at the moment around like such big changes in the world, big changes that are going on, as we have seen in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's like nothing is really the same. There's big changes, and a lot of humans, all of us, are going through some type of chaos in some way, internal chaos, external chaos. And inner dance for me is a great opportunity to work with this chaos. Actually, it gets reflected in the music sometimes, and it helps to disentangle and like deconstruct, and then it does do this thing of shifting perspectives. And through that, I'm seeing in lots of people that are coming to the sessions that there's a very simple remembering. And I call it simple because it's like this remembering of our true nature, and it's going back to the roots, going back to and sound holds frequency, and these frequencies, all these different frequencies, it's like, as you said, like a psychedelic playground. It supports like us to reconnect to who we are in all of our parts, and to like, it's like when you're gathering and you're connecting with all these different parts, you are able to bring it back into a wholeness, which is like a unity, which actually we work with in inner dance. It's about the different sounds and bringing it all back into one, at the heart of it. Yeah.
I remember there was, talking about chaos, there's certain sessions or moments in a session where it can get quite chaotic. And I think, I think that's an important part of it as well. It's not a place to escape to sunshine and rainbows necessarily. I was doing a lot of well, I was getting into the idea of doing a lot of shadow work towards the end of last year and trying to almost identify what the darker, sides of certain emotional states were, and the darker sides of my own psyche, and um there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their sort of shadow side to their personalities and to who they are. Everyone's had trauma in their life. Well, most people. I don't know anyone that doesn't. um and so I think what you're saying about the chaos element is really important, because those moments can be a little bit jarring, actually, in the dance. They can be a little bit uncomfortable at certain points, but you need to be in touch with those things as well. And one thing that I've learned over the last couple of months is that, you know to really feel whole and connected with yourself, sometimes you need to be compassionate towards the darker side and towards the less positive, less, glamorous aspects of your life, because those are part of the whole picture. It's like the yin yang philosophy. You're always going to have a light and a darkness. And I like and appreciate that Innerdance incorporates both those elements. Um, yeah. So just a thought there based off what you were saying.
Yeah. It's a big part of what the process has to offer, and I think that it's so important because all of us have trauma. All of us have had trauma. It's part of the human experience. We have to have a shadow. Shadow is there all the time. No matter how enlightened we become, there's always going to be challenging things that are happening in our lives. One of the nice things, and I think that's exactly what this is. So the chaos, which is sometimes reflected in some of the sounds that get played in the music, it kind of it's like a pot that kind of gets stirred, but it helps to just allow that safe space to look at something that could be quite uncomfortable. And um, and this is amazing because I think that from many conversations that I'm having, I've been involved with some conversations with parents around their um, children, teenagers, and also adults like myself. Well, we're all adults, but older adult, even though
Adultier adults.
I like to still think of myself as a young adult. Um, 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 you know, we are all we all need a safe space to be able to unravel. It's the most precious and important thing. I think that a lot of people don't have spaces to unravel. They don't even know that they need to unravel because it's like they're just in reactive mode, just dealing with life, just carrying on, doing their thing, being in a lot of fear. Most of the time, people aren't even aware that they're in so much fear until you actually become aware that you're in so much fear and that you're living your life from this fear every single day, and you're just carrying on. And I think that when we like, the space of inner dance as an example, and there are many other modalities that offer this as well, but you know, one of the things is that it allows you to unravel. It allows you to be, um, it allows the heart to actually start to open. And when the heart opens, the harsher energies, the fear, the pain, can actually have a chance to be seen. And sometimes that, will come up as crying, or as a bit of, um, sometimes even shaking. So we work a lot with like the the body sometimes moves because it holds on, like it's and the when the body starts to move and to release, we can then we actually can free ourselves. And yeah, I think that the dealing, um, um, there's something important about embracing chaos. There's something interesting there, and I think that when we can learn to be that still point in the storm, we have mastered something. You know, there's something incredibly powerful. I know that you've experienced this, I'm sure, more than once, when the music is so chaotic, but you actually feel incredibly peaceful, like you're in a bliss state. There's something super, super powerful, and there's actually like an awakening, a shift in paradigm that and that then will reflect in your life now, because the world, there's parts of the world, or some humans, let's say half the humans on the planet, that are in a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of humans that are actually not in chaos. They're actually very still and centered, and there's a paradigm there. There's a paradigm, and it's actually all inside of you. It's nothing to do with the outside world. It's you, and so that's what we're trying to activate. It's like that, activating that still point, that 0 point, that lightness. Yeah, and so um, um, sound is so powerful, and it amazes me, as I go into it more and learn more about how to work with sound, and what sound, different sounds can do in the inner dance process. It is amazing, actually, the healing effects that it has. Um, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think you have to. Yeah, it's a there's a good degree of surrendering that goes on in inner dance,
Yeah.
and chaos is part of it. Chaos is part of the world we live in. Yeah, so I think a lot of us, we always try to stay where the light is all the time. I must be positive. I must keep, trying my best. I must keep, positive thoughts. These are all great, but we live in a balanced universe at the end of the day. And there's definitely something to be said about surrendering to the chaos element of it as well. And recognizing that we do live in a entropic, chaotic universe can actually be quite a liberating feeling, because you understand that so much of what goes on is just totally beyond your control, and it's this mysterious, tune in the universe that we all sort of atone to, and it's life. Sometimes it dishes out great fortunes, sometimes it doesn't, and I think, just again, coming back to awareness, having the awareness that there's these big currents that are at play throughout the world, emotionally, socially, I guess politically as well, and intrapsychically, like within yourself, there's these currents that are always at play, and sometimes they smile upon you. Sometimes they don't. But yeah, I think being able to connect to that reality and surrender to it brings you a peace. Like you said, you're still in the center of the storm. So yeah, I also wanted to say, one of the things that inner dance helped me with quite a lot was, in each session, not every session, but in quite a lot of the sessions, there's a theme, I think, and it's quite cool, when you join an inner dance class, you don't know what the theme is going to be, but they're usually quite apt for whatever everyone in the class is going through. So one thing I really appreciate about what you do, Leigh, is that you'll check in with everybody who's joined, and there might be like a quick discussion before the class actually begins, and you'll hear a little bit about what everyone is sort of thinking, or what's on people's mind, maybe a little bit about what they've been dealing with. And then you'll introduce this theme. Maybe tonight we're going to be, the theme is about the earth, and reconnecting to that source of the earth, and what's cool about that there was a class like that is it leaves you feeling, you know, more grounded afterwards. There was another class where I can't remember what the theme was, but I think the physical body was a key aspect of it. And in that moment, it helped me realize, you know, an insight that, you know, should come to be fairly obvious, I suppose. But for me, I needed to hear it in that moment, which is, you know, you need to reconnect with your body, and you need to, you know, become one with your body, and not just be, you know, this floating head on, you know, with this vessel that's just moving throughout the world. And after that session, I can honestly say that, like, I made it my intention to really reconnect with the physical side of me, and I started exercising a lot more. You know, it was just one of those moments where I felt like I really wanted to take on board that message that I got from the Innerdance. And now months later, I feel way more connected to my body. I feel I'm the fittest I've ever been. I'm the strongest I've ever been. And sure, a lot of work has gone into that, but you know, I'm not going to lie, it was an Innerdance session that really helped me realize the value of doing that, and you know, reconnecting with something so central, you know, so basic and so part of me. Yeah.
That's amazing, you know, and it's to do with also like the room, you know, like the room speaks, and as a holder of space, um, I've been learning and how to tune into that room and what the room needs, but also, you know, in a dance, it's like we're all teachers, you know. There's so much that I've learned from you and from other people in the group, and it's like we're co-creating. There's something that gets co-created
Mm-hmm.
through this whole process. Um, and you know what you're speaking about now is so amazing, because you know it's we can get these insights, but it's the commitment, you know, as well, like that commitment of actually sticking with it. And it's the thing with inner dance. Sometimes these sessions, they can make like radical changes in people's reality that can actually have, you know, hopefully long lasting effects. And a lot of the sessions can do that. Some of it is more in the moment, it's passing through. And some of the sessions can have, you know, really, it can shift something, and it can go so deep that it touches this nerve, it touches something inside of you. And that's what you're speaking about now, where and it's amazing to, you know, when you can be open to that, and when you can allow those messages to come through. Yeah.
100%. And I just want to say, I mean, if anyone's listening to this and uh, and you know, it doesn't mean that every inner dance has to be super profound. It doesn't mean that you know, if you don't have a profound shift, or if you don't have a profound experience, that there's something wrong with you or anything like that. Because sometimes, you know, it's just like that, and sometimes you're just in a state of being where, you know, the time is right for you to have that experience.
Yeah.
So not every ounce is the same, and you know, it's not necessarily a guarantee, if I can say that you'll come in and you know, have some sort of profound experience or whatever. It's not the point. I think it's just a way to, like you said, just join a space where everybody is sort of committed to, yeah, to thinking deeply, to feeling deeply, and like, you know, expanding your consciousness a little bit, you know.
Totally.
That's the point.
Yeah. And you always receive what you need to on that evening. You know, sometimes it's very physical, sometimes it's just rest. You know, I've had some people come to my
Mm.
class, you know, where they are so tired, and they come out of the session just feeling like they've never ever rested ever in their life, like they've rested, and they just feel rested. And so that has a huge impact on their next day, you know. um, and some people, they have ahas, you know, ideas come, you know. It just it's exactly that. It's like every single time you experience it, it will be completely different, and it's like life. You know, every week is different, every day is different. We are evolving, we're changing. What we need now is very different from what we needed 5 years ago. Um, and at the same time, I also want to say that there is an invitation right now, especially in 2022, for us to, you know, really start to, I want to say wake up and remember, but that might be, you know, well, like, what does that mean really? It, you know, we can have a whole long conversation about that. That can be another 3 hour conversation. But in essence, it's, you know, we're moving into a time where the earth is asking us to make better decisions, to be more in our hearts, to really feel more. Um, you can call it the earth, you can say God, you can say the universe, whatever you want to call it, it's all of it. But there's something that we've been longing for, and I think that it's been coming for many, many, many years now. So many more people are more interested in meditation and mindfulness and yoga, and you know, there's this movement, you know, towards this. There's been a movement for about a decade now and longer, and so, you know, we're going back to the earth, we're going back to the roots, we're going back to reconnecting from a space of a lot of disconnection. And what I love also about this process is that, you know, we're in a world of technology. You know, we're in a world of technology, and technology is very, very powerful. But technology is also can also distract us and disconnect us. And so, you know, music and sound can also be can also harm us. You know, if we are engaging in too much of, like, you know, too much of a particular type of music, it can actually like take us out of balance. And so what we're trying to do with Innerdance is bringing all these different eclectic type of music together, but in a very particular way. And, you know, the process of Innerdance and how we create the playlists and the music is very particular. But we're actually working with the nervous system. We're working with the brain. We're attempting to help people to rewire, reconnect, recenter, and finding new neural pathways so that we can actually change for the better. It's not that, you know, life before is bad. There's nothing that's bad. It's like we are evolving, and we're always evolving. And even the music that, you know, I've been working with in the last year has been evolving, because us human beings, we are evolving. And so there's an invitation here to really to allow the sounds to actually support you. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate you having this conversation with me. And I look forward to journeying more with you in the future. And thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.